Hey, Rob, did you get my message?
I did, yes. I'm still looking into that.
Okay. I thought it was kind of weird, so,
It is. I don't have an answer for you yet, but I'm looking into it.
okay, thanks.
Alan, you've got a quorum,
Yes.
but we've got another minute or two to go. Let's see who else comes.
Okay, 4:00. I'll call a meeting of the Roads and Right-of-Way Committee to order for May 17th. And I declare we have a quorum present. Okay, public comment. Seeing none. We'll go on to the approval of minutes. Minutes from our April 19th meeting were circulated, and I would, any errors, omissions first? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Bill, seconded by Rick. And
Just a minute, Alan. Is Rick Atherton online?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, do you have all the people here?
What I'm going to do is double check something called the list of participants. I see 7. Me, town committee, you, Bill Greeter, Phil Smith, Rick Atherton, Robert. Yeah, it was just Rick whom I was missing. Okay, Alan, we
One point of order, Lee.
yeah.
I think for the Zoom recordings, because this is official minutes, we need to change town committee to whoever the participant is, so it's recorded as such.
It's Takara Renner.
I know, but I'm just saying.
I've got that.
Okay.
But
Kim Bogart.
I'm agreeing with Bill. We do need to vote by roll call.
Oh, okay. We have Ed Gillum just joining us too, so we'll do a roll call. This is for attendance. Lee,
Aye.
Rick,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Phil,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
and Ed.
Aye.
Great, thank you. Okay, I didn't get a note from Ken Bogrand, although I suspect that he is otherwise engaged, but I have, here's
I
there's
just
Matt.
forwarded him the email. He asked me to forward it to him. He called and I just forwarded it to him. So he's trying to join. That's Ken Bogart.
Okay, Nat is present, so that's
Gotcha.
great. Okay, so I don't have a report from Ken as far as any updates for road takings or sidewalks or any of that sort of thing. So we'll have to wait on that. By the way, I've got to say, one of the things I've been trying to follow up on all those items on our on my to-do list from our last agenda. And unfortunately, with all the busyness of town meeting and so on, I found people weren't accessible. Okay, the next item, sidewalk projects update. We have, if you've noticed, if you've been in town, Lower Pearl Street, or also known as India Street, the
Middle
curving
India.
was reset. There was some in front of the Craftmasters and that side of the street. The sidewalk was leveled with tree roots. And they took it down to the corner where the Athenaeum is and so on. So they have been working away on the downtown sidewalks, which is a good thing. And let me just see what we've got here.
Alan, I'm writing down that this is all part of the recurring capital project fund sidewalks.
Right. I assume that's where the money is coming from.
Oh,
that.
yeah.
It is.
Who is that, Ed?
That was it. I'm sorry. I
That's
chimed in from the peanut gallery.
Yeah, good, good, good. Okay. Oh, the other thing was at town meeting, they approved the Pleasant Street sidewalk. That includes the area that we've been talking about, the missing side, that piece of the missing sidewalk. Yes, Lee?
I read that very carefully. It's from Main Street to Silver Street.
I'm sorry?
The warrant article in town meeting did not include 57 Pleasant Street. It was from Main Street to Silver Street.
Correct.
Are you? Okay, I was under the impression that they improved the roadway also, the extension all the way. I'm just trying to remember now. So
I wish it were from Williams to
yeah, exactly. That's what I was.
no. Ed or Rob, what do you guys recall?
I'm not sure. I don't think it went down as far in front of our project necessarily, though. But
I thought they still had to work out the agreement with, for the Lentowski property,
right,
get that squared away. And then they also is the stretch from that property to the old Rabimba store. That's got that really pitched bank there with a curb cut.
Yeah.
So I thought that was the holdup on that section and it hadn't been designed yet. That goes back to my recollection, to the last update we got before Rob McNeil took his leave.
Lee, I was there at town meeting and I could sworn that it was one of the articles approved the construction of a sidewalk on Lower Pleasant Street.
Yeah, that was my impression also. Maybe at that point in the meeting, I was.
No, I remember because I remember, boy,
Okay.
progress.
I have a copy of the town meeting thing about can take a 2-minute break and go get it.
So what I volunteer to do is when I prepare the minutes, I will look up the warrant article and I will include the section of Pleasant Street that was approved. And I will make it appear as if we had a seamless discussion.
Instead of all the speculation.
Exactly. Yeah. Charlie, welcome to the meeting.
Hi, sorry I'm late. I was on a phone call.
No, that's fine. Do you recall if we're talking about Pleasant Street, the
Yep.
sidewalk on Pleasant Street? And do you know how far down Pleasant Street that is? Are they planning to take that to the mid-island?
I believe the original work is from Silver Street to Main Street, both sidewalks and the road. I
Okay.
believe is what I understood. it to
Yeah,
be.
all right. Okay,
I'm not,
well,
I think, like I said, with the Lentowski property down lower, and I don't know with the sewer project, if that's gonna interrupt anything, say, east of Silver Street, as to why that wasn't included in this.
right, right. Okay, well, follow up on that. I'm sorry about that. I was all excited. It's one of the positive things at town meeting that, when that was approved, that I was all excited about. But I guess I should pay more attention at town meeting. Okay, I've got nothing else to report. Charlie, are you aware of any other sidewalk projects or road projects that are scheduled or coming up?
We've got the Washington Street and Francis Street expansion that's been going on down at the corner there. That's
Yeah.
being paved
Down at
tomorrow.
the corner.
Yep.
Okay.
So they've expanded that, and then as part of that construction, I just talked to Richard Moore, and they've got approval to fix. We're gonna fix some of the asphalt sidewalk that was on the side of Washington Street. As you head into town, there's a section of it there that was still asphalt and it's very degraded. So for now, that's being replaced. I believe it's being re-asphalted.
I see. Great, good.
But,
Well, it's good. Yes.
Alan,
Bill?
the town just
Bill and
posted,
then-
the closing of that intersection for tomorrow, so.
Yeah, maybe it'll be a reverse trucking route because of the paving.
Great, good. Ed?
Through the chair to Charlie, a question. When they've done these paving projects, North Liberty Street being an example, they did the sewer and the town water and over 2 years basically. When they repaired the sidewalks, I noticed if you go down North Liberty Street, you'll see a variety of material members of the sidewalks, from concrete to asphalt to whatever. I mean, I know it would have been a perfect time to make some of those brick. But you now have a mishmash of like 4 different kinds of material as you drive down a short couple of blocks of a street. Are the sidewalks actually that we're working on now, they're all going to be brick? Are they going to be paved in them?
I believe the plan, especially within town, I know they're doing a lot of sidewalks in town that are being re-bricked. This section, I think that I was talking about, Francis, is being re-asphalted just because it currently is asphalt. And it's in such poor condition right now that while they're there on site, it'd be very easy for them to just redo that stretch to clean it up.
Great.
At a very minimal cost, to the town, because they're already there set up. And then I know I'd have to talk to Richard Moore a little bit more about the sidewalks, because I know there was some big plans to continue down South Water Street on the west side or the upper side of South, and that all got put on hold because of there's a big N-Grid and sewer project next year, I believe, that's going to be taking place down there. So instead of resetting that sidewalk now and then tearing it all back up in a year, that kind of got put on hold. And I know Mo's got a whole list of sidewalks that are up for repair.
Excellent. Good. All right. Well, it's really encouraging, after all the effort that our committee has put into the downtown sidewalks, the grant, anyway, so that's exciting to see that unfolding. Yes, Ed?
Have we been getting any pushback from, let's say, the historical, whatever it's called, commission, Hillary's commission and whatnot, on any of the brickwork or any of the kind of the curbing or any of that kind of stuff, or has that been left silent for now?
As far as I know, it's been left pretty silent.
Right.
It's kind of all been being replaced with like kind, and just making sure that the sidewalks are as ADA accessible as possible, and resetting, straightening the curbing, widening the sidewalks where they can. I know we had one instance with a shop owner on India Street, just all got reset, and he's now upset because the well they left around the tree right in front of his shop is a little bit bigger, and now his bench doesn't fit. And he was kind of complaining about that, and I think he was lightly informed by town admin and a couple of the people that his bench is actually legal And, you know, if he wanted to keep it, he might want to just put it on the other side of his door instead of where it restricted, you know, because the way that the well was done around the tree. There's been some little things like that, but otherwise, engaged as far as everything else, you know, goes. It's good to see the sidewalks being leveled out and, you know, curbing being straightened and.
Exactly. Yeah.
So far, so good.
No, it's great to see that work being done. So, okay, anything else on that item? Next item, the Cross Island Trail. And, you know, we've been talking about the Nantucket Greenway is how it shows up on our list here that we've been working on for years. And the land bank has just published this Cross Island, oops, is that backwards or?
No,
Perfect. So anyway, we have a map now of the Cross Island Trail. This is the a permanent trail. The markers are starting at Hoyks Hollow and going all the way over to Matticat at Settlers Landing. It's not the same trail necessarily as the original Cross Island and the one we did last October. What the plan is to have this coast-to-coast trail, as it's referred to. This would be a permanently marked trail. And it is already marked. There are posts outlining it with arrows. Unfortunately, well, the arrows all point to go from east to west. So if you're coming the other direction or that sort of thing, you have to reverse the arrows. But those posts have been installed all along that trail. Now, there are other trails. The Land Bank and the Conservation Foundation are both working to upgrade their trail maps, which have a number of other trails on the various conservation properties. And the idea is that ultimately there will be an island-wide trail map that will include the coast-to-coast trail as well as the other trails on conservation and public property. So anyway, that's one of our long-term goals that's been on our projects list for some time. So that is developing, taking shape, and with the publication of this map, plus the trail maps that the individual conservation groups will be putting together, we'll be able to check that off our list, the Nantucket Greenway. We're still working on the railroad trail. Part of that trail going from just off of South Shore Road. It's sort of across from Sherburne Commons all the way out to the beach. That trail has in. The portion that goes across Tom Nevers is on Conservation Foundation property, and the foundation is reluctant to, well, they've been hesitant, let me put it that way, to put that trail in. Nearly half of the railroad bed is in existence out there. Part of it goes through the water company property. But once you get beyond the water company property onto land bank property, there's a section of it where it is cleared, where it is mowed, and you can walk along the old railroad bed for approximately a mile or so. This is the area behind Nasha. So we're still working on trying to get the Conservation Foundation to do that other section that goes across over to Tom Nevers. Yes, Lee?
Alan and colleagues, the engine barn was along Washington Street, right about where Francis Street, either Francis Street or no, Fayette Street. Sorry.
Yeah.
The engine barn was where Fayette Street intersected Washington Street. And so my question, Alan, is can we work with the town and the land bank from Steamship Wharf to maybe even all the way up to Old Spouter, marking sections of the railroad that we can identify and that are publicly available now that portions of that are in parkland?
Yeah, nice.
Right. Now, I'm sure you've noticed, at the Easy Street Park that the land bank did, you'll see the two steel rails coming out, and there's an interpretive marker there. Unfortunately, they said that the equipment was shipped to France for World War II, and that we're not quite sure that's true, but the railroad section behind from Washington Street Extension over to Orange.
Yeah,
Orange
it's Orange Street.
till
It crossed between Old Spouter and Hatches, and that's why Hatches is on the bias.
okay. Say that again, Lee.
The Hatches store,
Oh, Hatches, right, where it crosses the road.
right, but it's at an angle to Orange Street because it was actually alongside the right of way.
Yes, and there is still it used to be a path, but it's getting kind of grown in behind those structures on, I forget, the Napa store, and I forget what else is up there, the not pie pizza, but
Yeah, it's Sophie's Tea.
Sophie's Pizza. That area that comes out right across from the Stop and Shop where the bus stop is at the corner of Dave Street and whatever street that is.
Pleasant.
Yeah, that trail, that part of it still exists. That is still town owned. The land bank was offered that this was several years ago, and there was a concern from the chicken box being across the street that there would be trash and so on. So that's still a work in progress, that piece of it. So anyway, as far as the rail trail part of it, going out to Tom Nevers, we're still working on that. I mentioned it to Cormac about a month ago. I had a meeting with him, and we discussed that briefly. As I say, their concern is opening, going through that. It's basically all scrub oak in there. The water company had been looking for mitigation property with regard to the solar project that they're trying to put in, and that was one of the areas that was suggested, but that they're still working on that. So anyway, as far as the Cross Island Trail and the so-called Nantucket Greenway, maps are being produced. Pretty soon there will be on the app from the Conservation Foundation, the Act Trails app, that will include these other trails on other conservation and town-owned properties. So progress on that item. Yes, Bill? And then Ed.
In case Charlie has to leave, rather than wait for new business, on the sidewalk project update, I just wanted to give everyone a heads up that I received a call from a couple of people that live on Helen's Drive about a project on Bartlett Road, between Bartlett Road and Appleton, or actually down Appleton. And I don't know if it's sounds like they're putting sidewalks in Appleton Road. And I guess it's staked out, and there was some concern about, are there going to be takings involved? It's an encroachment. And it wasn't until the blessed senior citizen event, senior citizen of the year event, that it got mentioned, roads and right of way. So they've called me, and I asked them to contact Erica, and she could disperse it with the DPW, and I'm assuming Charlie and whatever, but evidently it's a project that was started and came to a halt a couple of years ago, and the stakes in the ground, and there's some concern there. So I just let everybody know.
Okay, I'm not sure. Yeah, the land bank owns at the end of Appleton Road. And there's the trail there that goes either over to Maya Comet Road, or you can go straight ahead out to Maya Comet Pond. So yeah, so Bill, I'm not sure where the sidewalk would be on Appleton Road by the houses and so on.
That's what the people said. There was stakes in the ground. It appeared that I didn't know where to go to look for any plans, but according to the people, it's talking about trees and a sidewalk going in. So I don't know if this group knows anything about it, or if it's something that was on the burner that's, whatever. So I'm just, as an FYI, we may hear something about it.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll check that out, because I say the one of the entrances to the land bank trails is right at the end of Appleton Road there. Well, actually, it starts. Anyway, it's down in that area. I'll check it out. Yes, Ed.
Back to the map, the coast to coast trail map. Where is that made available?
It's available at the land bank office right now, and it'll be available at some of the other conservation groups as well.
Will it be at the information center, like on Federal Street or any of that kind of stuff?
That's an idea. I'm not sure. Normally,
I was just wondering how the public would get to know about this. I guess.
Yeah, as I say, it is available at the land bank office. They have boxes of them there, but I'll suggest that to see if they want to put them over at the, over at the Information Bureau. So, all right. Well, I'll follow up on that one too.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question? Or not necessarily a question, but something on the Appleton Road, Alan?
Yes.
I don't know what year it was. Maybe like 8 years ago, maybe 10, that Appleton got taken. I know we know that, but I just don't know what year it was. Okay, but it's not too long ago. But I believe it's only a 40-foot layout. And the road needs to be, it's a mess, like it's all broken, it's not wide enough. The sidewalk is one of those sort of the way we used to build them kind of things, like 3-4 feet, grass grown in. I don't know what the plan was, Bill. I don't remember exactly. I think Rob was on that project or something, but I remember discussing berming it so that the soil, if they're going to have a separation, they can have something to keep it from,
Right.
It's going to deteriorate if it's not done right. But I remember there being a layout issue. It might not even be 40 feet. It might be a 30. So that could be part of what's going on over there. Ken might know, but he's not on today.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
all I have.
not,
Sorry.
with respect to Ken, Ken has just sent an email saying that he can't connect. Takara, can you work with Ken Bogrand to get him on?
I
sent
sent him an
a
email.
copy of
He's
the-
in now.
Yeah, he's in now. I see.
He's in.
Oh,
Ken,
okay.
welcome.
Yeah. Struggle.
So, Ken, we were just talking about Appleton Road. Do you know what's going on as far as the sidewalk or widening the, improving the road there?
I don't know at this point in time. We had a number of, DPW had a number of meetings with the abutters and worked out something with respect to trees and stones to try and keep people off that strip between the sidewalk and the road. But I just don't know where that is. So I can check with Mo or Charlie on that.
Okay, great. Ed, did you have a follow-up?
No, my question was the maps previous.
Oh, great.
Okay, now that we've got Ken, Alan, shall we go back and ask him if he's got a report?
There's nothing to report because of town meeting. It's been absolutely crazy. Trying to get out from underneath. But I will try to get sort of this stuff resolved and move forward. Sorry about that.
That's all right. We know, and by the way, thanks for what you, your defense of the taking of the corner of Easy Street and Steamboat Wharf.
Well, I knew that we were not going to win that, but the fact is that the attempts at negotiation with Todd Arno were totally unproductive. Let's talk about what price. Well, my price is $6 million. Okay. Well, let's talk about what we might be able to do. My price is $6 million. Well, there's a number of other things we can consider. My price is $6 million. So the fact is that there was no willingness to negotiate. What's happening is that Andrew and Bob Davies and Rob Ranney and Jesse Bell and myself are starting to meet next week to talk about an overall sketch plan for what should be happening with that area, because it is the port of entry into the town, and it is the area where we need to address the issue with traffic. We need to address the issue with sea level rise and whatnot. So the next step is really to come up with sort of a concept plan of an approach that we might take, which would include, in fact, probably moving the ticketing office from where it is to a different location in order to be able to create a different nature of the flow of people and cars in that area and the ability to be able to regulate the traffic, people and automobile and bus traffic in that area. So that's going to start on, we're starting that meeting on the 25th, and that'll be the next steps in terms of coming forward with some sort of an idea as to what makes sense in terms of taking a look at what should be done in that area. Because there's a vested interest in both the land bank, the town, and the steamship authority in terms of moving this forward. The town and the land bank have a much greater appreciation of the currency of the need to develop a plan to resolve this. The steamship authority is a little bit behind in their schedule of thinking when they need to take a look at or start to address this. So that's an update as to where we are on that particular subject.
All right, good. Well, we'll see. Todd is really a challenge. It took the land bank 3 years to come around.
Well,
So,
I think one of the things is that what I wanted to do is I wanted to make the town aware that we need to figure out a way to address this. And so we've got to come up with a plan to make sense. And the objective part of what I want to do is I want to get an understanding between the three parties that the steamship authority gets, let's just say, 70% of the benefit. The land bank gets 20% of the benefit. Town gets 10% of the benefit. So that's the way we would split the cost of what we would have to pay Todd to buy his property. So, and that comes out of developing a plan where each of the parties see what it is that their level of interest is, where they benefit, and how that meets their needs. So, I mean, we knew it was somewhat premature, but the fact of the matter is that he was starting to do stuff with respect to the old structure there and everything like that. So we felt it was appropriate to at least start the process and throw the axe over the gauntlet.
Right. Good.
Luck with backing into the $6 million.
Or so.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Be
Great.
careful, because it'll go up soon.
Yeah.
If it was worth what he thinks, it would already be sold.
You're right,
So-
Matt. I mean, we came up with a number that we could justify based on the assessed value, but I won't share with you, but I know where a realistic
Yeah.
value is in today's market, okay? Based on all of the activity that the town has going on and all the activity we see out in the marketplace.
And Ken, if I may, through you, Alan, I'm sorry, I don't have the little hand thing on my iPad. So, and with, whatever sea level is supposed to do, I may not agree with 10 feet or 9 feet, but it doesn't matter. The rules are the rules, right, Ken? So if somebody bought that right now, let's just say, for whatever the money was, what would they be able to do there? Like it would be like the Graydon house. It would be like a $28 million, $30 million job for what? There's hardly any land. What is the actual square footage of that? Not including anything to do with the Judsons now. I'm just talking strictly about Easy Street
I'm
31.
not sure, but they
Can't be more than 4,000 square feet.
Yeah, and it doesn't go to the water. I mean, his land
I know.
does not go to the water. And there's the Jepson's properties between his property and the land bank property.
It's 3,500 square feet.
There it is. I guess 4,000. Under 4. I mean, that's insanity. So I just don't want to be, 20 years from now, Rob and I look like idiots and we never fixed this. This is something that is so important. And yet now we have a really great situation with the land bank, and they've sort of, laid the track down for the future there with what they did with the previous property that he owned and Dealey's, and I think, I was talking with Jeff Folger about this the other day. He feels, Ken, because he had the 4181L subdivision on that College Gallery place.
Yeah.
So he had technically 2 lots. And so technically it was worth twice as much money. This isn't even 1 lot, really, when you look at it in reality.
And what people don't realize is it doesn't go around the corner. The steamship property comes right up to Easy Street, so he's not even on a corner.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Ed?
This is all predicated that you're dealing with value from a forward-thinking seller who's always had an idea of the value of his property and was willing to sit there for 5 or 6 years till he got it. So I think it'd be a better idea to do an actuarial study on how old Todd is, perhaps. I don't know, unless this happens in the next year or so, because
I have a copy of an old listing sheet when he listed it for sale in 1991 for 1.9 million.
right. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. As I say, that land bank spent years trying to convince him to sell the Easy Street park there. So, yes, Ed.
Going back to that listing sheet in 1991, I worked for Rob's father at that time, and I had an offer on the whole property in the whole corner at one time from Todd, and he can ask 1.9 for it back then, but that wasn't quite the number we were working with on the sales side of it. Let's put it that way. So you can, it's just a matter, you get what you get, or you wait, or time is, on Nantucket, time in real estate's always been, on the seller side sometimes.
Exactly. Good. All right. Anything else on whatever item that was we were discussing? Oh, that was Ken's report. Okay.
Yeah.
Beach access map project. I don't have an update on that. I had hoped to have some sort of an update for this meeting, but I don't have an update for that one. Other than it is still a work in progress. The question that keeps coming up is what is the purpose of the map, and what about the distribution of it? And the issues are, we're talking about public access, and the beach access map is pretty straightforward. We know where those beach access points are. It's when we start overlaying the other roads, the public and the private ways, and determining which ones are public and which ones are private, is where we get slowed down, I guess is the way to put it. So anyway, it's a work in progress. We have more and more detail. Phil has been instrumental in trying to pull together the public ways and the private ways and so on. And by the way, Nathan, you remember years ago, Nathan had a list of ways that he was unsure whether they were public or private, and this sort of thing. So I think related to our beach access map is also this public way, a map of a definitive way that shows which roads are public and which are private. They've been narrowed down. We're still working on Franklin Street. The town is still working on Franklin Street to decide what's going on there. And same with, what's the other one? The one that goes from Orange Street down to Union Streets. I keep thinking. Which one, Ed?
Cobblestone Hill, is that what you're talking about there? Not Cobblestone Hill, the path that's going down.
Yeah, the footpath.
Stone Alley.
Stone Alley, right? Yeah.
Stone Alley. Great, thank you. So anyway, that's nothing new as far as the beach map project.
Alan, could I ask you a question?
Sure, Rick.
Just because there was some talk about this substantial lot at the end, is it the end of Jefferson Street that came on the market for a lot of money? And
Yes.
I just wanted to, is Jefferson Street go all the way to the water so we have public access all the way to the beach there? I just didn't remember, so I was curious.
Yes, the
All right.
between where the Cliffside Beach Club is and whatever's on the other side there is a I think it's a 33-foot or 2-rod access that goes down to the beach. So that is public. And sometimes what happens in the summer is that people will take their towels and use that beach, even though it's right across from the other 2 beaches there. So
Okay, just wanted to check. Thank you.
okay.
Commonly known as the Gaza Strip.
Yes.
So yeah, another $39 million property. Wow. Who would have thought? Okay, next item. The Chapter 91 recommendation to the select board. Again, I don't have any update on that as well.
Alan, could I mention one, chapter 91? I mean,
Yeah.
it seemed to me we're trying to acquire a list, and we have a lot of chapter 91 lists that Phil's been working on. But I just, in watching the Concom meeting there, and I sent a copy of the chapter 91 license for 18 Washing Pond
Yes.
to people, and we can add that to our list. They had, and I gather we didn't hear from Jeff Carlson that, you know, the property was in for renovating the bulkhead, and chapter 91 might be at issue, and I'm not sure it is, but they're asking to at least put ladders on either side of, I mean, if people are familiar with what this is. It's a substantial bulkhead jutting right out into the water, kind of like Whitey Willauer's old place. And this one is to the east of Capon Pond. And the owner or his representatives indicated they'd be happy to put ladders so people, you can't walk around it except at extremely low tide. But they indicated they'd allow people to walk up and over the bulkhead. And that's the chapter 91 access. It's not in front of the beach, it's on the bulkhead, so.
Right. Yeah, yeah, Ed?
I just didn't hear exactly where you said that was. Is he talking about East Tristram's Ave, or is he talking about Washing Pond?
18 Washing Pond, Ed.
Okay.
Yeah, I just saw the notice for that yesterday, that they were the application for the stairs or whatever it is that they're planning, or it's not a dock, is it? It's
No, it's a bulkhead. It's a timber bulkhead.
right.
And
Okay.
it juts out and after erosion for the past 20 years or 30, however long it's been there, it's now just a peninsula, you know, like in the harbor. And as I say, it's just like Whitey Willauer's place, and scouring on either side and so on. So
Yeah, there's a lot of that going along that shore. I walk that beach section. I usually will start at either Steps Beach or sometimes down at Jetty's Beach, and I'll go as far as I can depending on where the tide is. And there are definitely some issues along there, but yeah, it would be interesting to see.
It just seemed to me we might, you know, in terms of public access along the beach,
Exactly.
support, or, you know, even think about communicating with the Concom that we support anything they can be helpful in negotiating to make sure there is access so you can walk along the beach during all tides. So.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they're supposed to be along Washington Street. I walked that Washington Street from, well, basically from around Petrel Landing. You can't really get on the beach unless it's low tide at Petrel Landing, but along the beach until you get to Washington Street Extension, and there's all of a sudden you come to a wall to get around to go the rest of the way down to the Great Harbor Yacht Club. On the way down to Great Harbor Yacht Club, there are several docks that go out. I believe only one or possibly two of them have stairs that go up and over, which is part of what the requirement is. But there are two other ones that don't have any stairs. There's also the point, it's right next to where they rent the surfboards and stuff at
Kansas Street Beach.
yeah. And they did some work on that, was it 2 or 3 years ago? And there's no way around there. You would, you know, they're definitely blocking the access, that whole structure there. So that's one of the ones on the list, that one, and there's another one at 13 Commercial Street or Commercial Wharf. where you can't get around the property. That property recently sold as well. And again, there's no public access because the porch sticks out over the low tide line. Yes, Bill?
Back to the petrol entrance you were talking about. Am I correct in assuming that when that house is gone, they're gonna replace the signage that's on that, what's left of the signage that's on the little stairway there?
Which on the stairway down from that house that the land bank owns?
The stairway into the house is actually a little wooden sign. You
Yes.
can barely read it, but that was the public notice that you had access, yeah.
Right, yeah. And there's also a bench down there, a little bench that it's down on the beach there. The problem is next door to that one, number, I think it's number 13, where their porch sticks out into the water. And even at low tide, you have to be in the water to get around that one. Yes, Ed?
Yes, what Bill was talking about is the one that the land bank owns where Mickey Rowland had at one time.
Right.
There was a sign there and it is in pretty bad shape.
Yes.
And you're talking about the property that sold right next
That-
door to it. So
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with that, actually.
Yes.
But on another matter, I did research on Easton Street. I did go back and pull the titles and various things for the property that has kind of the beach that sold next to the White Elephant there.
Yes.
46 Easton Street. And it turns out that actually there's an affidavit that was filed on December 14th, 2021 by an attorney up in Boston for basically for a minor project modification of a project exempt per 310 CMR, blah, blah, blah. But I went back and checked that, and actually that had a Chapter 91 license that dated back to 1899 on that property. So now that they're doing the renovation work and moving the house, they're picking it up and moving it and things like that. They went back on the December of last year to the Department of Environmental Protection through a guy named Daniel Padian, who's a program chief for the Waterways Regulation Program. And they did file for the proper paperwork, it looks like to me, to do minor fill only as it takes to lift it up and restore and all this. But it was interesting, they did have a license going back to 1899. And at one time, I think people didn't think they had a license down there, but it actually did.
And is there a right of way, Ed, from the street to the beach?
No, there's not a right way from the street to the beach. It's crossing the front of the property, I'm thinking.
Right.
But I thought there was discussion at the Concom about, in addition to crossing in front, that as part of their renovation, they were going to provide access from the street.
Right, but that's a Concom thing, I think, not necessarily I think that was a negotiation with the Concom versus a Chapter 91 item, maybe. I'm totally sure, but I remember there was some talk about access down there, but there's also worry that people would be using the beach as a beach rather than, rather than just access, so to speak.
Right.
Well, I don't know how that ended up.
You used to be able to walk in front of the White Elephant, and there used to be a sign as you go from the boat landing across the front of the White Elephant. And you could then sort of step down to that little beach.
Right,
Now
and that's where the
there's-
91 license goes across as a continuation of what you're talking about.
Right.
There are a number of big projects going on right now on Easton Street, and I'm assuming that given the legal firepower that some of those people must have, that they and in the nature of these sizable projects, that they must be filing or updating these Chapter 91 licenses in front of them. Be interesting to check, but that's the lead off all the way down to the lighthouse.
Exactly.
Ultimately, we'd like to have Chapter 1 license that runs from the lighthouse all the way around, all the way out to Hayes Park, perhaps, but maybe that's, I won't live to see that, but, but whatever.
Well, who knows, there is a plan, by the way, as we know, Remain did a plan all the way from the lighthouse along the beach to the Otison property.
Oh, do they?
And they did some engineering. They had a list of whatever the permits were, to do to complete that project. So
How does that fit in with the coastal resilience push that they?
well, that's the thing with coastal resilience. Everything is kind of, I won't say up in the air, but literally there. So anyway, that's being thought, but at least the idea of that harbor walk extending all the way from town out to the Otison property is out there. And the town is aware of it. Well, of course, Remain Nantucket did, they paid for all the engineering work and stuff like that. So, I don't know if it'll be, yeah, if it'll be in my lifetime, I doubt it, but
Orange
who
Street Orange Street might be the harbor walk or something. You never know.
yeah,
So-
I know.
Union
Well,
Street or something.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, under, so where are we now here? Okay, so we're to old, new, and other business, and I have two items under, basically one old business and one new business. The old business, I got a call from Phil this morning about the situation in Matticat with the property at Scott White's property, or, as you remember, Scott came into the committee and, so basically, Phil sent me two briefs from town council with regard to that issue. The upshot of the two legal briefs here that refer to this, these were generated by a request from Matt Fee to town council. And the upshot of it is that as long as you're fishing, fouling, or navigating, you can go across the wet sand. And apparently Scott White is, I won't say he's, approving that. His main concern, as we remember from his visit here, is the dogs. He doesn't want people with unleashed dogs going across his property because of a number of reasons. He has his own dogs and so on. So in going, I read both of these briefs, and this is the first time I'd seen these. I wasn't aware that town council had actually opined on this. So apparently Scott, and correct me, Phil, if I'm wrong, that Scott has brought his lines, he had lines going out to the high water, to the high water line. And now he's brought them back into the low water line.
So the other way around, Alan, there are no lines there now. At one point, he ran lines along his property down to the water, to the low water mark,
right,
which he is now allowed to do because the public has the right to use what they call the tidal flats, the wet sand, from the high water mark to the low water mark. So if his lines went all the way down to the low water mark, that would be blocking their access.
Right.
But he does have the right to restrict movement on his property, which go down to the high water mark. And the thing that the council for town made very clear in about a 5 or 6 page opinion where they were citing all kinds of precedents and stuff. And this is only from November of 2019, so it's not that old.
Right.
Essentially what it is the public has those 3 rights: fishing, fouling, and navigation. They do not have the rights for recreation. They do not have the rights for strolling or anything else in the tidal flats. It's just for fishing, fouling, and navigation. And they can, if they are in the process of doing one of those 3 things, they can be walking along the tidal flats, but it's not that the public has the right. That is a right that is reserved for the property owner.
Yes, Ed?
So if I understand this correctly, in the wet sand, if you have your leashed hunting dog with you and you have your fishing pole or shotgun, if it's shotgun season, you're perfectly allowed to walk in front of Scott's property.
Well, that would be where you're in front of a jury and you're trying to present, convince people that you're in the act of doing one of those things.
Right. So carry a fishing rod at all times.
But I guess the point is, and this has, I think, to me, I think what we ought to be doing, and this ties into the access points that we've been talking about for the mapping around the island, is I think that we should be focusing on highlighting access points for public access to beaches that are town-owned or land bank-owned, which the public would be allowed to use those beaches. I mean, from a practical point of view, that's what we're talking about.
Exactly. Yeah, Ed?
Well, Phil is correct, and this has further a lot of ramifications for that. The one thing that we also are talking about is enforcing our leash laws in certain areas. I mean, that's what got Scott, I think, ratcheted in the first place. So,
well, how many laws do we have on the books that everybody pats themselves on the back and says that we have that aren't enforced? Matt, do you have anything to say on that matter?
Lease laws, but
We don't want to live in a society like that here. Can I just respond real quick, Mr. Chairman, on this topic? What is the status of the legislation? I believe there's legislation, right, that to sort of change this colonial law?
Yes.
If they, I mean, there is apparently a bill being discussed. If that is the case, and the legislature and Beacon Hill decides that that is a right that the public has for strolling or something else, then that becomes a taking from the individual landowners, which requires either eminent domain taking or some sort of negotiation. But you're essentially, the town would be taking a right away from a landowner, and that has to be paid for in some fashion. So in other words, does the town want to pay for people, with all the landowners around the circumference of the island to have that right? That's it comes down to a dollars and cents thing.
Right.
So litigation.
Yeah, it's a little more complicated than that. This is a state law we're talking about. It's not a town law. And, it's got a lot of other ramifications, and it's not clear. The proposers of the bill and the state had, obviously know what's going on. They understand these issues. I remember our current assessor's father coming to town meeting and saying, let's take all the beaches, and it won't cost us anything because the same people have beachfront that they had before. It's just 100 yards further inland. Doesn't cost us a thing. So there are lots of points of view here, and it's just not obvious how this is going to play out. It's going to be a very hard bill to pass in Boston because of the real estate interests. I think we all understand that. Nevertheless, at least in my judgment, it's a good for the people of Massachusetts. So.
Yeah, exactly. And fortunately, we do have the One Big Beach program.
That hasn't cost a dime that they've paid for to get their land off these crazy paper streets. But that doesn't fix people like Scott or other situations, but honestly, Alan, I mean, I've been, around a while, Alan, so have you. I don't think we have a problem like we used to. Okay, you know what I mean? Like, there was a lot of complaining in the 80s and the 90s, Alan. And now you have an occasional situation like this.
Yeah.
You know what I
So-
mean? The parties and all the things that were going on the beaches now then.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, how far do we go with one property owner?
No,
That's the
I
thing.
now I understand that. Ken wants to chime in here.
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I have only been working on this particular problem for the last 3 years. So I ask you, please, to let sleeping dogs lie.
Exactly.
Right now, I've been able to work out with Scott a compromise. I've gotten the land bank on one side and the Conservation Foundation on the other side to put up signs about no dogs going any further than the edge of this property. We've worked out the situation where if he's going to have ropes, they're going to be on the ground. They're not going to be up in the air. And as a result of it, whether it's COVID or whatever it is, it's almost a year and a half, almost close to 2 years, that I haven't had to deal with this other than going to see him as my vet. So please, life is already complicated enough as it is.
It is. It is. I've got to say, Ken and I met with Scott several years ago, and Ken has been doing incredible work among all the other issues. So
Arno and Scott.
all right. So what I'll do, by the way, I'll forward the decision that Phil sent on to me. It's really pretty interesting. He cites Fran Cartnan and the whole question about transfer from from New York to Massachusetts and so on. So I'll forward those two documents to everyone on the committee here.
And when you read it, it is the final report is from the retired Chief Justice of the Massachusetts Supreme Court, who is now either a partner or of counsel to KP Law, the town council. So it is a very, very, very well thought through and well presented reasoning with respect to where we are.
Yeah, I think Ken's suggestion to let sleeping dogs lie is a good one. Okay, one other item of new business, and I'll be really quick about this. I'm up for reappointment on June, whenever it is, at the July meeting. As you know, the town is on a fiscal year basis. Our committee and everything else is on a fiscal year basis. So I have to let the town clerk know, or actually I need to let Erica know as far as my own re-upping on the committee. One of the issues that I have is that I'm on 3 other committees plus a couple of other boards and things like that. And I'm having difficulty sort of balancing my time. So at our June meeting, which would be June 14th, by the way, I had the wrong date in the agenda there. It's going to be June 14th for our next meeting. We're going to need to elect new officers. And I would, my situation is that it takes a lot of time to do the agendas and to do all the follow-up calls and the other things. So I would like to step down from being the chairman. And I just sort of wanted to let everybody on the committee know that. And if there was a volunteer who wanted to step forward and take over as chair, that would be great. In that case, I would certainly re-up for another 3-year term on the committee. but I'm not sure I can balance being the chairman of going forward. So anyway, I just put that out there to let everyone know before our June meeting. So give it some thought. If you're interested in being chair, let me know. And
Alan, could we just review the dates? I thought we had a reorganization meeting after the appointments.
we do.
Aren't the appointments?
It's
Maybe
in
Ken
July.
remembers the
It'll be,
date.
I'm sorry, I meant to the July meeting.
Okay, that's what I
But-
thought. Thank you.
Yeah, but I want to discuss it before at the June meeting, and where I have to make a decision by the end of this month. I just wanted to let the committee know. Yes, Ed?
Alan, well, first of all, much appreciated for all your hard work on all these committees, but just to clarify some dates, the June, wouldn't it be June 21st? It's the third Tuesday, correct?
Yes.
So I think it's June 21st. I'm doing it in my head. I haven't looked at the calendar, but I think it's.
Yes,
Yeah, okay, that could be. I've been, see, one of the problems I have with dates. So yes, right. It will be at our June meeting, which will be the third Tuesday of June, whatever date that
June
is.
21st.
21st, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, June 21st will be our next meeting. And the reorganization meeting is at the July meeting. That's when we, decide who's going to be chair and so on. So anyway, on that note, I just wanted to alert the committee that, of that possibility. All right, is there anything else to come before the committee this afternoon? Yes, Nat?
Alan, I just have one thing for you to think about, the committee to think about for next meeting, or, whenever.
Yeah.
The sewer line route, the high pressure main. And
Yeah.
anything that we might want to talk about, that route is very odd and kind of meandering. I think you probably already know where it's going.
It's
And
is that on?
it's going
Hancock?
up Gardner, left on Liberty, right on Winter, I think.
Oh, okay.
Pretty sure.
Yeah.
So it's got some interesting, meandering route sort of through the ROH district.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought we might want to get that exact route from David, it's from somebody, and then maybe look at what's going to be dug up and what can be fixed. I'm sure that I know Mark and him are working together on every little thing that can get fixed when this is done.
Exactly.
But I'm thinking about the street, back when we first started doing the street and sidewalk committee, Alan, and Rick was on that committee as well. That was a long time ago. But like, we used to look at what was, okay, we're digging this up, let's fix this, like Prospect, getting all that. Imagine that, we dug up Prospect, closed the street, never fixed anything. So I'm just bringing it up. I'm sure that Ken has already knows exactly what's going on, so I'll defer. Thank you.
Ken, do you want to chime in?
Just a point is that the Historic Commission has worked with the Sewer Commission on the issues from the historic point of view relative to sidewalks, streets and preservation and stuff like that. So there is a detailed report that they have prepared and given to the sewer people in terms of issues that you have to be addressed from a preservation point of view, in terms of making sure that the roads and the sidewalks, in fact, were properly redone and put back in the correct way. So there's a significant amount of that information already exists, Matt, and then so you might want to check with David Gray as to where that is, because I know that there was a lot of work done in terms of the whole process, going over the whole route as to what the issues were.
Great. Bill?
Curbing height, things like that. Yeah.
Thanks, Matt, for
Okay.
bringing that up, because it certainly would be a good time to touch base with David, especially since they're committed to doing a curb to curb overlay. So
Right.
some of those places have got sidewalks that the old rolling dirt tar sidewalk kind of thing. And, we'd look pretty silly if after it's all said and done, that we hadn't stuck at least our nose under the tent and said, oh, don't forget,
Right, right.
there's no
Exactly.
sidewalk
Yeah.
here, there should be something or whatever.
That's an excellent point. And I know David, in fact, David used to work for me back when I owned the bike shop. So, and of course, I'm on the water commission too. So I'll check with both David and with Mark at the water company to see what's going on there. I'll put that on the agenda for our June 21st meeting. Good. All right. Is there
Thanks,
anything
Alan. I
else?
appreciate it.
Anything else to come before the committee this afternoon? Thank you very much.
Oh.
And I declare that we are at the end of our agenda and the meeting is adjourned. Great. Thank you all very much. And
Thank
see
you.
on June 21st.
Alan, I've got a thing or two to do in the next couple of days, but I should have the minutes out by the weekend.
Excellent. Thanks, Lee.
Sure enough.
Excellent. Good. All right, Takara.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye all.